So now that Candy Flurry has taken a weird change in direction to where I thought it was going to be about Sumugi hiding her identity while kind of like fighting Sweet User crime, has now turned into her joining like the defense force against these guys. And I don't think that she can hide her power for long. We'll have to see about that. I mean, she's definitely got superhuman stats. She's shown that she has just a general like layer of higher end strength, but I don't know how well she'll fare in the large scale of just using these like utensil tools. So I assume she's gonna get her cover blown at some point, and then have to work into joining the 5 sweet users that they have within their organization. So I didn't see like this portion coming. Like I said, I thought this was going to go more towards her keeping her identity a secret while doing stuff, but maybe that'll have to be, completely thrown out the window if she ends up having to work up to this tier of other sweet users that are within her group. Because where you have Eri, the whole aspect where she was able to figure out like you have the same power, but it doesn't seem to make any sense for it to be you, it's something that can easily be explained to people, and I would imagine she'll have to get to a point where she earns people's trust enough and then it's revealed, because I think anybody logically like in command could completely shut down any speculation and be like, if this was the person that we thought she was, she would have destroyed everything here and it wouldn't be a problem. But clearly there are people more powerful than her, so they wouldn't really be in any danger if she was the person and only this strong for some reason. So now we're moving on to meeting this new guy, and apparently he's the son of like one of the higher ups of the organization. I think he's let me see exactly what rank he said. I want to get it right. I don't know if it's executive officer or something, but he seems interesting so far. I like the guy. I think that he has a weird introduction of seemingly being like he's like this kind of cool, chill dude who's he even says that he showed up late on purpose because he thought it would make him look cooler, but he definitely is not somebody who seems to think things through and not be nearly as tough as he appears. So I think he's just big right now, and then how exactly he's going to be in the main cast, I assume that he's going to be, a member of the main cast just based off of his backstory and then his own design. So he has a pretty cool design, like I said. If you didn't really see his personality of being a little bit, he seems a little bit kind of sensitive, but he's a big dude. Like even this picture, you look at him next to Sumugi, and Sumugi's definitely like, I mean, she's a girl, but this dude is more than a whole head taller than her. Like he's like a foot plus taller, so he's probably like upper 5 foot to 6 feet, which is tall in Japan. So his design is cool, and he's got a backstory clearly linking to a higher up person within the the organization that the main cast is going to be in. Because Midori, I assume that he's going to be in the main cast as well. Even with probably not going to be around for a while, I assume that he's going to be in the main cast. So this dude with an important tie to this main cast, and obviously having his first appearance being the partner for the main character, it just tells me that he's going to have a valuable role in the story. Maybe he'll get tougher as it goes, and that'll be his thing. It's kind of like starting to be brave and like maybe gain courage or something. That'd be kind of cool. I like the general idea. He's this big ass dude. He's the son of like some important guy getting in this organization, but his personality wise, he's just kind of fragile. Maybe his dad is overbearing and it just kind of like made him weak-willed or something. Who knows? again, I like the character so far in the series. That was one of the things, before I get into, like, the full content of the chapter itself. Because, obviously, early areas in the series, I think it's important to go over the portions that are actually done really well. And I personally think, so far, that the characters within Candy Flurry are really good. Because it's a weird concept. And I usually when I compare series like this, it's something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a really weird concept in just the general idea of how it works. If it wasn't really normal for people in the anime manga community to at least know of season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh's existence, and then you don't know, like, how a lot of people who are kind of more casual, who don't know about all the, additional series, don't know how expansive the series actually is. But the thing is, it's something you have to get used to really understand how things work in the story. It's a really weird concept. Beyblade is another one, where it can have this crazy overarching story, and it's all involved with these weird spinning tops with spirits of, like, mythological creatures in them. Lots of weird stuff like that. But one of the reasons that these series were good is that they had really good characters. They were very character-driven at the start to get people used to what the story is going to be like, while having just really enjoyable characters to go along with it. And I think that's just one of those things, like, it's easier to lay out like the style of a series and the characters in a longer sense with something more traditional, like, looking over at Naruto, Fairy Tail, Black Clover, where you're in series where it's easier to intake the series because the setting is more traditional. You can have really good characters as well, but you get them more over time. But ones that I think that are really weird to kind of try and get into its setting, it's really important to get the characters really likable from the start. And I think that that's one of the things that has been done really well within the first 6 chapters, especially with Tsumugi. I like how her character's done. She's kind of selfish, but she's a little bit selfish and manipulative, but at her core, she's a good person, and she's actually she's also a bit of a troll. I like her character. I think she's been done really well within the first 5 chapters, and then the characters around her so far have been really interesting, and I like this dude so far. So all of the returning characters, which should be, Tsumugi, the main character, Midori, Eri, and this dude. I don't remember his name so far, for sure. I've only read the chapter like twice. I'm still trying to find where the dude says his dad's rank. Let me see. Where does it say? I've been trying to find it forever, but either way, the dude, so far it seems pretty cool too. We only got a little bit of him, but he's got some pretty good potential as a character. So now he's getting grouped up with with Tsumugi, and I think that's a really good opening thing as well, is having characters with good dynamic. And I think that they've had a pretty fair set one so far between the other characters. This is one of the things that, again, I think is really important to do at the start. Because if the characters were dull and you had a weird setting like this where the characters were we're in this really weird themed world, it would be kind of hard to intake, I think, for a lot of people. But it's been set up so well, I think, so far in the series, that it has a lot of potential. So we'll see how things go overall, but I like how it's set up now with Tsumugi, because, again, at her core, she's a really nice person. Like, she wants to do well for herself in whatever way she's, whatever kind of angle she's going into. Like, she's sort of able to, a little bit manipulative when she was, like, trying to go for those, the cream puffs. That was just a good example. She missed it, but she was able to kind of be a little bit unfair to this dude who's just getting worked over by this girl, to get essentially what she wanted. But at the, we've seen where she could escape and be, clear of any suspicions towards, her sweet user ability and whatnot. But at her core, she's a good person, so she's turned around and helped. And with this dude, who's just sad. Like, he's just in tears because it looks like he's missed the exam because he's late, because he thought coming in would make him look cooler. Again, I like that in his character already. It shows that even though he's seemingly really sensitive, but he's trying to... He's just trying to give, like, a different image of himself, but it completely just his first plan completely screws himself over. But Tsumugi is now, like, trying to help him, and they get penalized within the first round. It's a good example of how being the good guy can really screw you up, which is a good lesson, I think, for the main character in the in the start of the series. But at the same time, I would assume if they become friends and he becomes like a good character, valuable asset to the team, it'll be what then can turn around and then also be good, which again would be a really good thing to have within the first arc. I don't know. Again, it's just gonna be dependent on how the manga does the story exactly, because this one weird dude who just looks depressed. He also looks like he has some potential of a good character. I didn't want to forget about him, like him in the chapter, out of just essentially being like a strict exam proctor or whatever. Like that wasn't that interesting to me, but I think it's set up for him to be like for more of like a better character, because I do like that he seemingly is this really scared looking, like, nervous dude, but when it comes to the rules, he seems like no matter what, no, he's stuck to it. That's at least kind of a preset interest to the character. So again, if you count him in the roster of like returning characters, people I'd assume would be returning characters, that's probably another person that, that's like in the progress stage of already being a good character. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how exactly this whole next exam, because apparently out of all these teams, if any of them capture the Tsumugi and this other dude, they're going to they get to skip the next step of the entrance exam, the whole test into the whole receipt group. So it's probably just going to be a big brawl, I would imagine, with the next chapter or two. Maybe we see... Well, no, because I would assume if... They're going to have to essentially beat everybody. And then... I don't imagine that just means that they pass and everybody else fails. I assume that there'll be people who captured other groups. But maybe you have to have at least one in order to pass. But Tsumugi and this dude are going to have to do all of them, or else they're screwed. Because I would assume if they don't have anybody and they lose with while penalized, they would, by default, just lose. So, next chapters are probably gonna be really fun. It's gonna be interesting to see Tsumugi fight without using her sweet user ability. So she's just gonna be using this big spoon. I guess in kind of like a way, she's just using a nerfed version of her own weapon. Because when you think about it, the way that she uses the lollipop, it's just a big blunt weapon. It's just a big flat mace. And here she's using a spoon, which is another smashing kind of type weapon. I mean, I guess she could use it as a shovel, but for the most part, you'd be swinging it like more like a bat, or like a shovel, I guess, if you're going to use it like a shovel weapon. But where the fork could be a stabbing weapon, the same way that like the knife could be a sword to some people. So she should be fine. I guess like the spoon is logically the best choice for her in this scenario. So it will be cool to see her in a nerf setting and try and use more technique, because I guess that would be something just to improve her character early on. I am very curious, again, one of the things I really want about the idea of this series not getting axed is seeing how exactly her power advances throughout the series. I'm so curious of how exactly you would do a lollipop as like the base weapon. It would be like it's such a weird power to put on someone. It's like how Katakuri in One Piece, he has this food-based power that he learned how to weaponize it in a really good way. Like he's spent his whole life learning to weaponize food. And that's the same thing that she's doing. Like that's the base concept when it comes to like this character that I think is really interesting. Because like Luffy's a good example of a character that turns a really weird power into a really good power. But for him, I would have been able to, like, if I looked at base Luffy and didn't know anything about One Piece, I would imagine some aspects of his fighting abilities, because I don't think his is as weird, because you can just think of someone like Mr. Fantastic, or just the ideas of rubber, like ricocheting and being able to, you know, have it, you know, resistances to blunt force. Like, those things I could have thought of. Not this whole moveset, obviously, but some aspects. I have almost no idea what, like, could really happen with a lollipop power, besides, like, doing different shapes of lollipops for, like, different weapon effects. I don't know. And I don't know, it could be really interesting to see how her powers advance throughout it. It's one of those things, I always really like a main character's power that stands out, that's really weird. Because that's just one of the draw-ins early on that I'm always very kind of, not like critical on, but a weird one can really just instantly make me interested in the series. Because I just really like when people do weird powers or something just kind of outside the box. Because I can like normal powers too. Like I you know, obviously, like my favorite main character uses fire powers. I mean, it gets more complicated than just fire, but obviously that's a branched out version of an element, which is like one of the core powers, right, outside of just getting into like random energy blasts. But something like lollipops is just really weird, and I really like what he's done so far with the Sweet User's powers. So I'm really interested to see what this dude does in the future. So other than that, though, it was a fun chapter. I like the introduction of this dude. It's funny, I've got through this whole chapter. I still don't know his name, so I will make sure I have his name memorized to a key before the next chapter. But other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts are about Candy Flurry so far. I've been enjoying it. I think it's pretty fun, and for 6 chapters, I think it has a good amount of content so far that makes me enjoy reading it. So the next bunch, I imagine, is going to be a lot of action and a lot of fights, and I think that's going to be important too for the side that is going to have, you know, fights to really be on display. I think for a major display for the first time. So we'll see how that goes. Other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend the like button, subscribe one, and check out my other videos. But in that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.